Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to Beernid 40K. So, about a week ago, one of my first videos on this channel I made was had to do with this new Kill Team tease that GW put out. And I've been thinking about this for a while, and the fact is I'm excited about this. I'm excited about this because to put this into perspective a little bit, I've always wanted to play Horus Heresy. There are no local players, despite me living in a giant city. There's thriving communities of this in small niches of the country and in other countries, but here in the U.S., there's not a huge, band or league of regular Horus Heresy players, and that's easy to see why. It's not supported by local GW stores. There's a high cost barrier to entry. There's just not a lot for that besides Forge World and determination of a few people. But if you look at the very first edition of 40K, the Rogue Trader Rulebook, it started us in M41 in the time period. So you have this gap for players that have been playing basically only in 30K in the Heresy and M41 for decades. And there's this whole period known as the Scouring that has never been explored really through play and role playing and all this in small warband format. I think that time period is better played in terms of a skirmish thought form than with 2,500 points and tanks and all this stuff. I think it is a matter of small warbands deciding the fate of the universe in this time period. And I think that this new Kill Team lets us explore that aspect. Roleplay it. Have your dudes. Create the fluff of that time period where nobody has really told us how to play. There's basically any marks are acceptable. Marks of power armor. Almost any faction would be acceptable. And so I've had some thoughts basically on if you are playing in 40K or in 30K, I would really like to see you and encourage perhaps a co-opting of this, a group of hobbyists that have 40K running in their blood and making kind of a Warhammer 31K out of this new Kill Team that's going to come out. So, for example, imagine you play Space Wolves. In that time period after the Horus Heresy, you have scattered packs of wolves that hunt traitors after the war on Terra. They're following them as they move to the Eye of Terror and, killing them where they can. But there's a lot of other things going on for the Space Wolves at that time. For example, they feel basically betrayed by Gilliman, because he just one day decides, hey, you guys got to all start splitting up your legions. I mean, this could go for any group of Space Marines. And now, take into consideration the fact that Leman Russ, one night at dinner, just gets up and leaves. He says, all right, guys, later. I'll be back, maybe. And so, every year or whatever, it becomes a tradition for the Space Wolves to send out a small war band to go and say, hey, what happened to our Primarch? Is he still alive? Kill Team lets you play that out. And then, it goes for every faction. Look at the World Eaters. World Eaters are fresh from battles killing 80,000 Raven Guard over a period of days. They went through the Battle of Terra, were defeated, and now they're marching towards this Eye of Terror, stopping at worlds as they move, and reveling in the carnage of the Blood God, their newfound religion. And so imagine the modeling opportunities for that with power armor cracked to hell, half suits of power armor. It would be amazing to model that and play that. And look at the Mechanicum. The Mechanicum that followed Horus and those that didn't, and what happened to them. What is the Mechanicum doing now to get some of this tech back, to squash some of that tech heresy? And how are the Dark Mechanicum dealing with that as they ally with some of these Chaos Marines now and try and stay alive, try and keep their projects going? We know that this is when Belisarius Cawl is getting into making new Space Marines. Well, what about Fabius Bile? I mean, this is something to role play too. Fabius Bile is working to recreate the entire Astartes genetic code. He's got, from the Alpha Legion, basically, these corrupted gene seed stocks from every legion, just about, especially the Raven Guard. And so he's working to clone Primarchs and even attempting to clone Horus himself. Or what if you're a Dark Angels player? The Dark Angels at this time dissolve into a world of secrets. I mean, they're nothing but hidden agendas and civil war. They're pursuing that over all else. So what happens with the Fallen? That would be an amazing aspect to roleplay on either side. Which is the true traitor? Which is the true loyalist? Where do those lines, blur a little bit? All of this is waiting for you in a Warhammer 31K. Imagine you're a Xenos player. Well, there's Xenos that have been long known to the Imperium, as well as brand new Xenos encroaching upon Imperial territory. The Imperium is in the weakest state it's been, since the Dark Age of technology, basically. When the technology fell and the Emperor had to take up the reins. And so you have these Xenos, brand new, or ones that are long known enemies to the Imperium, moving in to the Imperium, taking worlds back, causing problems. This is something you can play with in 31K. And then there's this new thing called the Inquisition in that time period of 40K. Something that has never existed before, that is set loose upon the Imperium's own people to cleanse and burn. I mean, imagine that. The first of the Inquisitors, or the first of the Ecclesiarchy, as they begin these mass migrations, pilgrimages, and holy wars in the name of this newly crowned God Emperor, an aspect of the Emperor of mankind that did not exist before, that is now forced upon the galaxy. And then, if you want to get even more out into the fringes, you have rogue traders that are creating empires out there, basically creating their own rules, following their own rules in the fringes of space. So how could you roleplay that in 31K, basically? As now all of a sudden there's these Chaos Marines and other factions, Dark Mechanicum, willing to give themselves to perhaps the less scrupulous of rogue traders. So Kill Teams, I think, is the perfect vehicle to explore these themes. If we're going to create a Warhammer 31K, I think that is the best way to use this new Kill Team that GW is releasing. I mean, this is only March. You have the rest of the year to think about your direction for gaming. If you think about it, it's still the beginning of the year. If we get this soon, that's a great time to start modeling, to really jump into your hobby juices. Even if you are playing regular 40K, this can be something on the side. And so I wonder, is this something that interests you? Have you wanted to play Horus Heresy, for example, but for one reason or another have been unable to? And is this kind of a way to get into that? To play right after the heresy, when you're still in perhaps those same armor marks, but you don't have to buy 2,500 points worth to go on the table and play somebody else with this same mindset. So I wonder if this is something that interests you, and is this something that you would help spread? If we can get this idea out to more and more and more people, what if we could kind of create our own aspect in this Warhammer 31K, basically, this Warhammer universe, this galaxy that we've all come to love? Because none of this has been really explored. Since the days of Rogue Trader, we've been in M41 in the time period, and we've just kind of been left with, yeah, this is what happened. But 30K and the Horus Heresy, that whole aspect of the Warhammer universe has interested people in doing what you see these bolt action guys doing. They're doing like a historical recreationist type of wargaming. And we can do that too, on a scale that has a really easy entry barrier. Doesn't take a lot of money, don't need a lot of models. And even if you're doing something else, it's something you can get into. So I am excited for this. I'm curious to know your thoughts, and basically I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I've wanted to play Alpha Legion in Horus Heresy for years now, and I'm going to make a Alpha Legion army, and I'm going to make them in these armor marks for a few very specific periods. One is the Scouring, so these are going to be basically beakies, you know, the old Rogue Trader style artwork type armor, and going to play in that time period. And then I'm also going to try and do a Ghost Legion time period, which is before the Great Crusade and, you know, all of that, their reunification, when basically Alpha Legion was the Inquisition. They would operate under other armies' insignia, you know, other Space Marines. They would dress as them and go into war zones where there was active battles happening just as a squad. And they would go and get stuff done, abduct an official or do an assassination or sabotage something or arrest somebody and bring him, you know, to the Emperor himself, basically. This is a fun thing to roleplay, guys. And I'm really thinking that this aspect, this new kill team, can really be a lot of things to a lot of people. Whether you're a role player, a skirmish player, if you're playing Heresy, if you're playing 40K but wanted to perhaps get into Heresy, this bridges all of us. And if we can spread this idea, then maybe we can make this into something. So, does Warhammer 31K excite you? Are you interested in, instead of playing the Heresy or the current thing, perhaps the Scouring? I'd love to know your thoughts below. I look forward to having this conversation with you. Let me know what you think. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate it, guys. This has been a lot of fun in the past week, and I'm enjoying this channel. So let's have a chat. Let's talk about this. Let's see what your thoughts are. I'm looking forward to hearing it. So this has been Bjorn at 40K. I'll talk to you again soon. Take care for now.